What's up, guys? So we have quite the special video for you today. I want to bring in someone who I just think has a lot to add when it comes to bodybuilding, sexual market value in general. He's one of the few guys who I think actively talks about the importance of sexual market value, increasing it, and then also just where online dating is going in the future, which is going to be actually the topic for his latest book. So, yeah, his name is Sonny from Strength By Sonny. And do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, man?
Hey, Alex. Thanks for having me on. What's up, everybody? Grateful to be on here. Yeah, like you said, I run a website called StrengthBySonny.com. It's a small self-improvement website that's been around for a couple years now, with the intent to help guys kind of improve in all aspects of life. Obviously, a big part of that is focusing on bodybuilding, health, and fitness. But there's also a decent amount of content as it relates to developing a strong mindset, social skills, obviously specified skills that pertain to the dating realm as well. Who I am exactly, I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I moved around, pretty much lived everywhere in the United States. Got a lot of experiences in many different realms, and love spreading the word and help people out.
Yeah, man, that's probably what I like the most about your content. I feel like it's very holistic. Like some people that just focus on, just purely game, right? Then you have some people who focus purely on, getting their resolving their emotional issues, which is important, but there's more to it than that. Like you talk about all three of those: SMB, outer game, and then inner game, just becoming a man who's actually can call himself a man. I've seen that in your writing. Let's begin by just kind of talking about where you started from. What and how did you get into bodybuilding?
Yeah, I love talking about this. So, I guess we really have to start with, growing up, I was always very active. I always played sports. But one coach in particular, around the age of 11, 12, one of my travel baseball coaches, he was just as strict of a coach as you could be. It was just very, very militaristic. He just ran us into the ground and just trained us like you wouldn't believe. And, he just conditioned us every way you can imagine to just win. Eventually, once I stopped playing baseball in high school, I applied that same mindset when I first started going to the gym. When I was around 16 years old, my father, he signed me up for my very first membership to go to the gym. Started going, like all people. I was very enthusiastic right off the bat. I remember I was going 6 days a week, like 2 hours. It's the beginning, so I had no idea what I was doing. The only thing I had driving me forward was just sort of that internal compass, that work ethic that he instilled in me, as well as my father. Just kind of throwing darts to the board, not knowing anything, and just, I'm just going to work my ass off and just stick with it. And that's what I did. I saw early gains early on, and obviously that motivated me to keep going and going and going. And, it's like anything. Days turn to weeks, weeks turn to months, and months turn to years, and just kept building and kept growing.
Was a big part of your motivation initially, I want to get jacked so I can get more chicks? I know that's how a lot of, when I was in high school, that's all I fucking thought of. I didn't think about business. I didn't think about self-improvement. All I thought about was chicks, chicks, chicks. Was that a big part of it, or was it more like you were just doing it for you initially?
Oh, absolutely. It was twofold, because in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete. I already had a decent foundation, and, I was very, I cared about how I looked. I wanted to look good. So I saw it as a win-win. It was an opportunity for me to get bigger and stronger, so that would translate to better performance, baseball, football, and winter track, which were my sports at the time. But no, absolutely. There was definitely a component. And that was one of the things my dad taught me. He's like, Sonny, you stick with this. The girls it's going to be crazy. I was like, yeah, I know. And that just, that kept me moving for sure.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to another point. Do you feel like the reason why you had that strong foundation, like why you were getting laid in high school, and like you didn't have to go through like kind of like the massive like like fucking struggle that I think a lot of guys do, was because you had a strong father figure, you had like strong like just like mentors when you were young.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My father, he means everything in the world to me. It's always been that way. Actually, funny, just to kind of really go back, when I was, just to kind of put things in perspective, when I was a
Mm-hmm.
little boy, around like 4 or 5 years old, I would like throw a fit if my mom didn't lay out clothes that were matched my dad's clothes. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to dress like him. So that was, that's how I always looked up to my dad like that. And, just growing up, he did so much for me. Um, to spend so much time with me, I just remember, going fishing and crabbing with him, off the docks of Long Island. Teach me how to play baseball, playing every sport with me you can imagine, and just doing the father-son things, that I feel are important. And then obviously, as I got older, that translated to other areas where he taught me how to, just conduct myself in the world. And I feel that foundation was definitely an offshoot. That served me well in the dating realm, further down the road.
Yeah, man. I honestly like feel like that's such a huge part of it, in whether a guy's going to be just like quote unquote natural. Like, would you say it's fair for me to call you a natural?
Yeah, you could probably say that because I did pretty good with girls early on. Starting in middle school, high school. It's kind of a byproduct of just having friends and playing sports and stuff. But
Yeah.
I definitely I think I'm like most guys in that there's definitely been an evolution over time across the board.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. What I've noticed is I actually I don't really talk about this too much, but a big part of like my like personal self improvement was a natural friend I met in college. Like up until that point, I was struggling hardcore. Like I was getting occasional drunk lays here and there, but like I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I
Yeah.
never had that. Like my dad never showed me shit about girls. He I mean, he did the best he could with the information he had. He probably just didn't think it was a porn, but like I didn't have that. So, like a big part of that was like meeting this guy who just basically like like showed me a lot of shit. Like that's where a lot of the early game that I have it came from, like my buddy, and he was also natural, but he also like like you have having that good upbringing, it gives you the solid fundamentals, but then you still need to like go out and apply them and learn some shit on your own. That's how you like take things to the next level.
Mhm.
I've also seen some naturals like that I went to high school with. Right now, they're working at McDonald's. They're fat and they're married to like a five
Yeah.
because they let themselves go downhill. They had that like big leg up, but then they didn't do anything with it, and they like just kept going downhill. Versus you went kind of up. Like
The
you used
for the
that.
guys the guys that are forever living in the glory days probably still wearing their Letterman jackets and stuff while their life kind of petered out, like you said.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But actually, and one other thing I'd like to add, my father, he also served as a great example because, I saw his relationship with my mother. And just to give you guys a background, you know, I'm a mix. I'm half Filipino, half Russian. So my dad, he's a little Filipino guy. He's only like 5'3", so a little Filipino guy. Came to the U.S., barely speaks English. And my mom, she's like tall, blonde, and Russian. She's like 5'9", blonde hair, green eyes. And now that's, you don't really see that. And I think that I'm sure there's a lot of guys, especially like minority men, that that's kind of what they're going for. My dad was kind of like, if you want to look at that as like a guy kind of uh, circum
Underdog.
yeah, like the underdog, sort of like making it. Like I grew up. I'm a product of that template, and so I got to see someone who talking about SMV here, someone who on the surface, you might see my dad as lower than my mom. Well, how did he do it? And that's where it's the mindset and just the way of conducting yourself in a relationship. Now, not necessarily being like, because I think sometimes guys, they try to go to too many extremes. Like you obviously you don't want to be like the pushover oh, what do you want, honey? But you don't want to be like the abusive like tyrant who,
Yeah.
you basically treat your wife like it's like Saudi Arabia or something. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a very good balance, and it's just some, I paid attention to it throughout my entire life, and seeing that example, helped me out as well.
Yeah, man. I remember when you posted a picture on Facebook once, like you standing next to your dad, and like I was like, holy fuck, like yeah, like you said, like your dad, like from like if you take a look at him like in a picture, you're like, yeah, like how would this guy attract like a tall, hot Russian? Um,
Yeah.
like what are some of the things that you feel like like made your dad like able to like just accomplish what he did?
Um, he well, you got to, well, one thing, and people have asked me this question before, and I'm not sure how to quite answer it, because you got to keep in mind, when did my parents start dating? This was like the mid 80s in downtown New York City. Very different world from what it is today.
Right, right.
And people have posed the question to me, do I think that he would have had the same success, or had it been as successful if if he tried to achieve that dynamic today? Now, of course, the son in me, wants to say, 100%, he's my dad, he can make anything happen. But reality, I do think it would have been more difficult, just because you have, the whole dating world is kind of turned upside down now. You have so many things distract people. You got all the dating apps, you have social media. Um, but I do think there are certain fundamentals that he did that I think more guys that might be on the surface level in a similar situation and that I think need to abide by. One of those is having a good real life social circle or good network. So like my dad, he would not have been as successful if he was kind of like a lone wolf, just trying to spam around like malls and clubs all by himself. That wouldn't
Oh
have worked.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely
Yeah,
not. Yeah,
that wouldn't have worked. So we had a very good network coming up. Um, that helped tremendously. But then just the fundamentals of, being the man, being comfortable with leading, um, and just always making sure he's in the driver's seat in the relationship, and yeah, just being a strong figure. Those principles right there, I think any guy could integrate into their own repertoire. It's just a matter of doing it.
yeah. Is that how your parents met? Was it like through kind of social circle?
Yeah, it was just through like mutual friends, back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I mean, like how my parents. It's like it's not exactly the same story, but it's pretty similar. Like my
Yeah.
dad. I don't know. He's not great looking. Like he was jacked.
Are you Russian, by the way?
Yeah, dude, 100% Russian.
Okay, all right, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, so this was in this was early Russia, like in whatever 80s or whatever, late 80s.
Yeah,
But my dad, he was like, he was not a great looking guy. My mom used to be a model back then, so
yeah,
there was like quite the SMV difference. Um, and my mom, I think at the time she told me, like this is much later on, she told me that she was actually already seeing a guy or in the process of seeing a guy, whatever that meant, who was quite successful. But what my dad did have going for him was he had a strong social circle. Like he was, this was in college. He had a strong social
yeah,
circle, and he was just like, he was a leader, right? Like he was able to lead. He was like all that stuff. Like that you mentioned, my dad also had going for him, and that's ultimately how my dad got. He had that social circle in, but he also had like the fundamentals to then attract my mom.
yeah. I think, and another point, and I think this relates too. I think another thing that really factors into guy success, believe it or not, is uh, when they interact with you, they study everything. But one thing in particular that they study how other men treat you. So
Hundred percent.
if other men are if they're showing you respect and they have an inclusive attitude towards you and things like that, that can absolutely help mitigate, if there happen to be, image inadequacies at first sight. So that's why it's important to have that network. So if like you see these people that are clearly high value, showing you, giving you props and welcoming you with open arms and things like that, well, that automatically that's high value right there. That not to get too deep for this discussion, but that's an old That's an old CIA technique. Established citizens. You don't, if you want to influence a lot of people really fast, you don't have to influence them all individually. All you have to do is, have the people that matter, the select group of individuals that matter on your side. They'll do all the influencing for you, and everybody from there on out kind of just they make the decision based off that. That's how propaganda works.
I mean, yeah, a huge part of sexual market value is status. It's a
Yeah.
huge part. That's why the fat, balding guy who owns the club will get more pussy than the really good-looking guy who goes to that club. Why? Because he has the status. He just rolls it out. Everyone's like, "Hey, man, good to see you." Blah blah blah, and the girls are intrigued. They overlook the fact that he's not attractive. He literally becomes attractive in their eyes. Like Jonah Hill will get more pussy than me, like if with the same amount of effort, just because of the fame factor. Like is he good? Am I better looking than him? Yes, but he has the fame.
I actually know something about Jonah Hill because one of my friends, he tried to do the acting thing back in the day. He was an extra in Wolf of Wall Street, and he said, yeah, Jonah Hill, he had like a different hot chick going to his trailer every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. Yeah, it's just like the fame, the status factor is just a huge one. Just like fucking, it's like a bringing a gun to a knife fight. All the other guys have knives. Like trying to compete on looks and game, and then you have the status. It's like forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, also a key part of that is knowing how to. I would say that this is my thought that sexual market value opens up doors for you. All right. And sometimes it makes those doors really, really easy to close. But you still need to be able to know how to close the door. And that's why it's so good to know game. Because you also see, like, some famous people who could be drowning in pussy, like, having to pay for prostitute after prostitute, like, or unable to hang on to, like, a basic girl. And so, like, yeah, they just have, like, zero self-esteem, zero game. And then, you see that.
Yeah, well, I think, and because on and off, I've coached guys for a couple of years now. There seems to be, and it's generational. There's definitely sort of like this invisible wall where guys, they don't want to give themselves permission to go ask for the sale, aka go for the close. So, I've written articles in the past where I pretty much broke down my entire game, like every aspect of it you can imagine. We're talking like 30,000 word, like free articles, a bunch of videos too.
All right, awesome. We'll actually link that in the description below.
Okay.
For you guys who are interested. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I talk about in there, because I think, one of the things I talk about is that this whole side of the internet, there's a big like confusion regarding what game is. Like, is game real? Is it not real? Does it work? Does it not work? My biggest thing with game is that no one's really defining like what it is. The way I see game, I see it as I try to bridge both worlds. Image, which is pretty much sexual market value. So maximizing your image and I call it mastering the intricacies of going for it. That's make no mistake about it. Like as a guy, you have to go for it, and you have to every step along the way, you should be leading it towards an eventual close. And I think that close right there, a lot of guys, they're like paralyzed and they don't do it. So they try to, and this comes from also, years of watching like things that simply don't work on, other coaches and companies and whatnot. But a lot of guys, they have this like fear where they don't go for, like, let's say for like a club, for instance, the way I do things, at some point you need to pull the trigger. If you've made out with the girl and everything's great and you want to pull her and bang her, you have to pull the trigger. Hey, let's get out of here. Hey, let's get out of here. Let's go hang out somewhere. Like something along those lines, you have to do that. And a lot of guys, they kind of, what I notice is that like they'll half-ass it and they'll try to like weasel it out of the club and make up some sort of bullshit excuse. But I'm more from the school of thought, no, just go for it. Like if you've clearly seen, you've made it along the way where she clearly likes you and is attracted to you and is turned on by you, just fucking go for it. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you touched on a few things, but yeah, like the whole pulling girls from clubs, the way I've always done it would be like, once like it's fucking on, I don't, like if you haven't, in my opinion, if you can't get the girl to make out with you, which is obviously not the goal, but like if you can't get the girl to make out with you, you shouldn't be trying to pull her. Like there should be
Yeah.
that sexual attraction. And the way I've always done is once that's established, once it's like kind of like on that we're gonna fuck, then
Yeah.
I kind of give her a little bit of an excuse. I'll say, hey, let's grab a drink at my place. That's usually what I'll do. I'll be like, do you like wine? I'll be like, cool. Yeah, I have a bottle in my place. Let's go. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
lead. You know,
Yeah. It
giving
doesn't
him.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
No,
I don't
giving
mean.
giving her that a little bit of like a social excuse, you know, so
Mhm.
she's versus going like, yo, let's go fuck in my place, like that
Yeah.
can work for sure, but like just that nice middle ground, you know. There's like the two extremes, right? Like this, like you know, being 100% honest shit, like yeah, let's go back to my place for sex.
Yeah.
It's just a little socially uncalibrated, you know, versus the other extreme is just like trying to weasel and baby step, like you mentioned, like also just like fucking waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. And then, one of the things, and again, that's in that article that we'll link, I say, especially when it comes to the nighttime stuff, I say this, getting laid, you want it to be like a drug deal, this under the table, under the radar thing where you're winning in the shadows. So a lot of guys, I know
Yeah.
we've both spent enough time like on the forums to kind of see how guys do it.
Yeah.
They'll get all the pictures in the world at a club or anything. Well, I didn't bang her. Yeah, but you got all these pictures. A lot of guys, they can take the time to get the pictures to have the image of winning versus you just having no pictures and winning in the shadows.
Yeah.
But either way, you still want to have that mentality with your interaction as well. So that's why it's important, if you can right away, get her away from her friends by going to the bar and getting a drink with her. And then when it does come time to actually pull the girl back, again, this is why I'm a big fan of because I've pulled so many girls over the years. I already know like the kind of excuses that tend to come
Yeah.
up.
Yep,
I
yep.
don't want to leave my friends, or what's the other one? Oh, I don't want to leave my friends, or I don't want it to be like too much time. So a good way to like preemptively address those, make it a secret. Secrets are sexy. Listen, all right, we'll fucking sneak out of here. Your friends won't even know. It'll be our little secret. Or, and this is where addressing time comes into play. So, for instance, when I used to live in Vegas, I lived in like South Summerlin. South Summerlin is with traffic on like a hot like summer day. That's going to be like 20, maybe 30 minutes back to my place. Now, if a girl asks, well, how far away is your place? I can't say 20, 30 minutes because that, in theory, that sounds too long. So you gotta fudge the numbers a little bit. You gotta tell them, oh, it's like 5-10 minutes off the strip. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, boom, they're good to go.
Yep, like that to me is like a perfect example of white lie. Like those are the kind of like if you're one of those dudes who thinks that you should never lie. Like I'm a big believer in like being as honest as possible.
Yeah.
But like white lies like that are just necessary. Like especially like in like that situation. I've had that many times. I used to in my early 20s. I was broke. I was living in like the center of Koreatown. There's no hot girls there. I was like going to Hollywood or whatever to meet girls. And then, it was like a fucking train ride. Like, if I told them that, like, yeah, we're going to get on this train, then we're going to get off, and then we're going to switch lines. We're going to get on this train. Then it's going to be a 20-minute walk through the ghetto. Some Mexican guys are going to holler at you. Like, forget about it. Like, I wasn't going to bring her back to my place. I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty close by. Let's just start going. Like,
Yeah. And then because they're so, like all over the place, all you got to do is just kind of, just let them kind of talk themselves into your bedroom. So you can kind of like rewind some of the major talking points you went over at the club. Oh yeah, so where are you from again? Oh yeah, what do you do? And and then that'll eat into some time, and obviously you want to make out, and then kind of keep it, keep it on the stove for a little bit, and then before you know it, you're back home.
Yeah, you're keeping the conversation going. You're not letting it get like awkwardly weird where she starts thinking, okay, where exactly am I going? Like, do I really know this guy that well? Yeah. Totally agreed. All right, so this kind of actually leads me into another thing I want to ask you, and I asked this question to a lot of people who I have on, and that's why do you think most of the guys in the forums in the community, why do they still suck year after year?
Oh man, you kind of went over this question with me before. To be honest, I still don't know how to answer it, but I'm going to give it my best shot here because it's hard to pinpoint what the biggest problems are for guys on this side of the internet that are still struggling with their dating. I think there's a lot of issues. I think there's issues with the individuals themselves. I also think there's cultural barriers or cultural trends that we're seeing develop that I think are also kind of making the game more analogous to like pushing the big boulder up an icy mountain. But if I had to pinpoint one thing, I would say as people really, we all have one fatal flaw, one big weakness, whatever that might be. Yeah, we all, there's always something. And I think true growth as individuals really lies with a couple things. Number one, first of all, admitting that, we're not perfect as individuals, that there's room for improvement. But number two, once we're able to do that, finding out what that fatal flaw is and adjusting our programming, how we go about our life, gear it towards addressing that fatal flaw, whatever that fatal flaw might be. It could be a mindset. It could be a bad habit that they're doing. I think a bad habit that we see in this generation is guys that, they're glued to their phones, freaking panic fapping all the time. Watching porn too much, and not going out and talking to girls, not having that female interaction.
Shit, she didn't text me back. I got to jerk off.
Yeah. Not having a network of friends and just acquaintances to kind of meet people. And then of course, me because I run the Facebook group, the Look Max group. I do think that a lot of guys, specifically on the side of the internet, a lot of their failures, their chronic failures, where they're failing year after year after year, I do think you can tie that into fatal flaws as it relates to image inadequacies. So, what I see, we see this, in the Facebook groups. You kind of see the same people. I shouldn't say, you see the same people. They're still talking about like, well, I'm still having problems with flaking. I'm still having problems with, not being, losing attraction. And then you look at the guy, it's just like, listen, like, you've been kind of saying the same thing for 2-3 years now, and yet you're still kind of skinny, fat. You're not in shape. You don't take care of yourself. You've done nothing to address your image inadequacies. I think that is talk about fatal flaws. I think that is a fatal flaw that guys have. Not taking care of themselves, not going to the gym. That image, what is that? That's sort of that's the first thing society has to go off of when they're kind of judging your value, both men and women, but especially women. I'm from the school of thought that, improving your image in any way, it's just a widespread solution for guys to address many things in life, whether it be just specifically the dating stuff, but just the overall confidence and mindset stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like, it's a win-win. It's a win because you're going to get better reactions, generally speaking, and it's also a win because you're just going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel better about yourself just when you look in the mirror, but you're also going to feel better about yourself when you hit a new personal record. Like, in the gym, you're just going to, there's also the physical benefits of lifting weights, but I'm not even going to go into that. Like, so you're just going to feel better across the board. And because you feel better, you're going to be more confident. Thus, you're going to get even better reactions, So it's like, I see that as like a huge win-win. I think any guy who's, who's trying to get good with girls and they're struggling, but they're not in the gym, is leaving a huge amount of potential on the table. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah, it's like, that's one thing that I've always been preaching. Is like, you got to get, like, why not? Like, why would you not? Like, if you can go out for 4 hours every single night, you can spend 45 minutes in the gym 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And not even just, the gym and taking care of yourself, obviously there's a massive benefit, mentally, as well as, the tangible results you'll get with chicks. But even, again, just from a health and wellness standpoint, it's a way to decompress. If you're stressed out from work or school or anything, it's a way for you to, set aside like 50 minutes an hour and just get in there, bang it out. it is. It's what I like to call a success-oriented habit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So would you then say that because all right, so to tie into another question, there's also the guys who've been going to the gym for years, but they still look exactly the same as when they started. They're either
Hmm.
still fat or skinny as fuck. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen that with like some of my close friends. I've seen that with just like guys in the community. Why do you think that is?
That could be for a lot of reasons. We've spoken about this before, and I've talked about it on the groups. We do live in a time where the male endocrine system, men, they're just not men nowadays, culturally, and physically as well. And there's a lot of chemical elements that are contributing to kind of the collapse of the male endocrine system. All these chemicals, the chemicals in the water, the plastics, phone screens, the chemicals in the air, things of that nature. And as a result of this, male testosterone levels, they're lower than could be. And, more chances are, like, if you're, in that, I guess, millennial demographic now, chances are your testosterone levels are much lower than you think. And now here's the thing. When it comes to building a physique, and I actually, one of my friends, he's a trainer, and, he knows about this stuff too. He's a published author. And he asked me for my advice the other day. And, it's the same situation. He's been working with this guy for a couple months, and he's doing everything right. He's eating right. He's training right. He's not getting anywhere. And I asked him, I was like, well, what were his labs? And he's like, well, I didn't get them done yet. And I was like, well, again, in this day and age, like, if you're a real trainer and you're trying to help someone, like, you need to get their bloods done and see what their testosterone levels are at, because, trying to build a physique with little to no testosterone, or very low testosterone, meaning that the levels of like a 90-year-old man, you're not going to be able to build a physique. You need those hormones there, helping you out, helping you not only with the workouts, but, with the recovery as well. And also for injury prevention,
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
that's, in my opinion, I've worked with quite a few guys over the years. Well, number one, most guys, just by looking at them, I can tell that, their labs are low. But that's another telltale sign. If they are legitimately busting their ass in the gym and they're eating right and everything, and they're not, like, nothing's happening, it's probably, the fundamental issue is hormonal, and that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. And I 100% also agree that every guy should be getting their blood work checked regularly,
Yeah.
just the basics, hormones, like also on top of testosterone, thyroid, IGF, which is like your human growth hormone, all that stuff, the basics
Yeah.
that are most common of being off. Yeah, totally agreed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think another issue is that a lot of guys are not, they're kind of what I call like fucking dicking around. Like, they're like, yeah, they're going to the gym, but they're not tracking what they're lifting. They're not like hitting personal records. They're not focusing on putting like, lifting more weights. They're just kind of like dicking around the gym, just like spinning their wheels. And you'll see this also with guys who've been in game for a long time. They're like still spinning their wheels. Like, they're going out, but they're not really approaching. They might like talk to one girl and then just like bullshit with their friends for like the whole night, right? Like, which is cool. Like, believe me, like, I don't go out to mass approach girls. I go out mainly hang out
Yeah.
with my friends. But if your goal is to improve your social skills, you got to fucking chat up hot girls. And you got to do a good amount of it initially, like when you're first getting into this. So I see a lot of like what I call like dicking around. And it's just because I think like a lot of people don't want to go through the pain period, like the pain period of like fucking committing to a new diet, the pain
Mm-hmm.
period of committing to a regular workout regimen, the pain period of committing to like cutting out bad shit from their diet, and also with dating, the pain period of making yourself uncomfortable, putting yourself out there. It's
Yeah.
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 So I think
Any avenue of success, I think most guys, they need to realize that any avenue of success, if you're starting out from scratch and you're a beginner, you don't know anything, the beginning is always, it's always going to suck because of the fact that you don't know anything, and it's the time period that requires you to work the most. That's how it is. Like, you need to be, evolution requires you to be challenging, to be consistent and challenge yourself to reach new heights, no matter what you're working on. It could be working on a new business. It could be the gym stuff. It could be dating and social stuff. You know, all that stuff. It follow the template for success follows. You know, the recipe for success follows the same template, no matter which way you want to slice it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure, man. Like getting good at pretty much anything is seldom rocket science, right? I talked about this in my latest video. It's gonna come out soon. Like,
Yeah.
getting more matches on Tinder is not rocket science. Some guys are sweating the algorithm. It's not rocket science. Getting jacked is not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's some fundamentals that you need to master. But I see also this like with like guys like over obsessing or like over information. Like I think it can be like detrimental to try to like fucking just read game book after game
Yeah.
book, product after product. And to a lesser extent, same thing with a gym, like obsessing with like the latest supplement and like as if this supplement is gonna fix the
Yeah.
fact that your diet is complete dog shit, or like the latest like whatever lifting scheme regiment when it's created by a guy who's on like a massive amount of steroids. Like
Yeah.
I see this all the time. Just like the over information. I just think that focusing on the fundamentals and then making yourself do it day in after day out until it becomes a habit is really how you get there. And then like you said, fixing weak points that come up across the way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's so many parallels between all this stuff, the bodybuilding and the game stuff. It really, it is. It's a matter of showing up and being committed and sticking with it. That's it, and putting the work in, and reaching the point of I like to call it normalization, to the point where, so I'll give you an example. So every morning when I wake up, my habit is I get on the elliptical and I do anywhere from 46 to 52 minutes of cardio on an empty stomach, every morning when I wake up. And while I'm doing that, I might be checking emails or reading a book or something. That's like a success-oriented habit right there. Now, it didn't start off pretty. It started off like, shit, this is new. Like, I'm kind of getting used to this. But then again, days turn to weeks, weeks turn to months, and months turn to years, and eventually it just became the way. But yeah, one point you said real quick there. We live in a time, especially now, because of just the generation we live in, just this information overload. It causes guys to have paralysis by analysis. And you do. You see this with the bodybuilding and fitness stuff. You see this with the game stuff too, where guys, well, let me watch all these videos on this, and let me look at all these workout programs on this, and I'm gonna do this. It's just like, no. Here's the thing, and this probably helped me out early on, because when it came to the fitness stuff, because there wasn't an Instagram or social media on this stuff. I read a few things on bodybuilding.com. I'd say the book, I actually got the Arnold Encyclopedia just to kind of see how the exercises were. But for the most part, my come up was just a matter of massive action and just massive amounts of trial and error. And that's not only is that what's going to help you reach your potential in whatever area you're working at. It's going to instill that, what I like to call, the tinkering mindset. So a lot of guys, they're looking to get programmed. What's the one for the workout stuff? What's the one workout program I could get to just, that'll be it. I'm just going to follow this for the rest of my life and do it. What's the one product I can get for the rest of my life, and then I'm just going to do it? What's the one like pickup boot camp I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and then I'm just going to do it? Not to say there's value in getting those things, but you need to, and this is part of becoming a man, taking the reins on your own success, and not being afraid to make adjustments, to tinker here and there, and to truly customize your own path to more and more success.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, like not being afraid of failing, right? That's the trial and error. What is trial and error? Failing and failing, right? Like, how I got good at Tinder, it was a combination of a massive amounts of trial and error. Like, believe me, like some guys have the impression that like I was always coming up with the perfect fucking line on Tinder. Like when I started, no, like it was massive trial and error, and then also reading some information. And I also think that a big part of being successful is, I don't know how, it's like being able to discern between bullshit information and good information. And that's one
Yeah.
thing I feel like I always had going for me is like I mean, yeah, not when I was like a little fucking kid and believing in fairy tales, but like
Yeah.
when I got older, like I could always discern between like good information and just crap marketing. And I think
Yeah.
that that's an important skill for every guy to develop in this age, because there's so much. Every question you ever have on anything has already been answered on the internet pretty much.
Mhm.
But for that one truth, there's 10 lies. And you
Yeah.
have to be able to discern. Like I'll sometimes get guys asking me about this company or that company, and I'm
Yeah.
like, really? Like you can't tell like this is 100% marketing? Like how can you not? Like, I don't know. So that's, I think, is like a huge skill that one needs to develop in
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that also relates to larger cultural issues. I haven't written on this yet. I do plan on writing a piece on this. What happens when we live in an age of fatherlessness and faithlessness? What has it done to the psyche of men in this day and age? And what it's done, it's kind of eroded that ability to critically think and not to critically think and to trust in one's own internal compass. So again, that question just bugs the shit out of me. Where guys like, hey, is this legit? Is this guy legit? Is this company legit? It's just like, I don't mind like giving my input, but it's just like, well, number one, I could theoretically bullshit you and steer you in the wrong direction, and you wouldn't know. And so you're trusting a stranger. But number two, you're robbing yourself of just these little micro situations of, pulling the trigger and making the decision yourself and living with the consequences. A big one, you've seen this before. How many times have we seen the one, well, what should I text next? Or what should I text this girl next? You see it all the time. It's fine to like go to, get information from that, but I also think it's valuable for guys to also be comfortable making a decision on themselves. And hey, if it works out, great. Now you're even more confident because you trusted in yourself and it worked out. And if it doesn't work out, hey, you know what? Now you know the pain of failure. So that's a learning, that's a teachable moment right there. Now okay, never text this girl like that ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think like with most things in life, there's like that common sense middle ground, which is
Yeah.
where the magic is. So you have the guys who, because of their ego or whatever reason, they'll never ever ask for feedback, and
Yeah.
they'll get, with enough trial and error, they'll eventually get somewhere, but like their growth is going to be limited, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus then you have the other extreme, which is much more common. It's the guys who want like their hands held every single step of the way. Like they have just no trust in themselves to make any kind of decision. Like even when it's like the girl's like, "Hey, what's your address?" and they're like, "Shit, what should I text her?" Like, like they have so little confidence in their own ability. Like, well, I just don't want to fuck it up, bro. I'm so close. Like it's like, yeah, just text her your address, bro. Like, there's not some magic there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the guys who are like, who see results the fastest are the guys who walk that like good middle ground, where some conversations they try on their own, they see what they can come up with, implement my material. Other ones they may ask, where it's not like common sense, but they'll ask for feedback. But when they ask for feedback, they'll say, "Hey, I was thinking about trying this. Do you think this is good?" Right? So they've already kind of tried to think of something, but then they kind of want to test their own theory. Or sometimes they'll take an interaction with like, "Hey, listen, this failed. I'm not really sure where it went wrong. Can you break this down for me?" Like those are the guys who see results the fastest. The guys who are not afraid to pull the trigger on their own, but they're trying to learn anyway.
But that are gonna listen. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Also, I want to ask, kind of changing gears a little bit. I know you've been fascinated by just social media and how it's affected pretty much everything. How did you're writing a book about this right now, right?
Yeah. The book, it's totally done. It's out and released on Amazon now. It's done.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we'll crack a little bit into that at the end of the video. But
Yeah.
what made you interested in like the topic of just like all of this stuff, basically?
I've always been fascinated by social media because I saw it as just this thing that's just there. It's like the air. It's like the internet, and it is. It's like the digital counterpart to that. it has such an impact on every aspect of our life, every aspect of how we see the world. And yet no one has ever put together like a resource or a comprehensive uh, guide on what exactly is social media doing to humanity. How is it impacting, our conceptions of, religion, relationships, so overall reality. And that's what made me, initially excited to, do all the research and get all the notes together and then get started on it.
Is that kind of like the theme of your book, or what? What's like a high level overview of what the book is about?
Yeah, that's what the book is about. It's about how social media, it has forever impacted uh, humanity, forever impacted civilization. It's this giant wrench that's kind of been thrown into the machine. And what my book is about, it's called Instagods. It is about kind of decoding that. How has social media impacted just every aspect of how we live as people now and for the future?
And what was that research process like? Like what went into actually like figuring this out?
I mean, lots of. I read a lot of books. I accumulated a lot of scholarly articles. It was, I a book like this. So, you know, there's a lot of topics involved. So I had to study a wide variety of things. So I read a book. I read several books on like the psychology of plastic surgery, because that's, I talk about how, our
Yeah,
concept.
yeah, I remember you mentioned that in one post. Yeah.
Yeah, I talk about how, social media, it's absolutely changed, our conceptions of beauty, and definitely it's had an impact on, people are definitely more trigger happy to get, things like plastic surgery done, things like actual books on what, smartphones and social media has done, um, at the neurological level. And then just university studies done at the university level, seeing, focus specifically on things like an Instagram and Snapchat. It is. It's just, people ask me like, is my book going to have, X, Y, Z in it? My book, it literally, a better question is what doesn't it have? Because I wanted to put together a resource that left no stone unturned, as it relates to social media. So again, lots and lots of statistics, lots of studies cited, far different from my first book, far more in depth, and yeah, I'm thankful it's finally over with.
Hmm. Do you kind of in the book also crack into how a guy, like, once you basically lay out exactly what the effects of everything is, do you also kind of go into how a guy can use this information to his advantage to then be successful in this age?
When it comes to the dating stuff, or just everything?
Just into everything.
Yeah, everything. I mean, I literally, it's, if you want to look at what we're in right now as the matrix, I call it the social media dominated matrix. This book is for anybody. Actually, women would find value in it as well. It's for anybody that wants to make sense of this social media chaotic realm that we're living in, and kind of just wants to see things for what they are. It is. It's an eye opener.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Let me ask you actually something that just came to me. What would you say was like some of the most like just surprising things that you kind of learned as you were researching, like shit that you just did not expect? Like, holy fuck, how is this true?
I mean, there's a lot of things. One of the there were definitely some interesting statistics that I found. One of them that I found was the fact that, when it's all said and done, the average person, by the time that they die, they will have spent a total of 5 years of their life on social media.
Holy fuck.
That, I thought that was interesting.
Oh my lord.
I thought it was also interesting that, and I don't
5
remember.
fucking years.
Yeah, there was a university in India. They've been doing this study since 2011, or the statistics date back to 2011, and they have on record 200. I believe the number was 259 documented instances where there was a selfie-related death. So it's various things. I mean, you're kind of seeing it more and more in the news now, where someone dying for trying to take a selfie over a cliff, or someone. There
Oh
was
my
one
lord.
there. There was one there. A guy or a couple there were guys. Or people in general taking selfies with trying to take selfies with animals like a bear. One guy, he got mauled to death by a bear. And it's just like, it kind of relates to, and this is like a big premise in my book. We live in a time where there's two worlds competing for human consciousness. We have, real life, what we're seeing, face to face. And then you have the digital realm, which is dominated by social media. And this social media dominated realm, it's slowly kind of taken over our ability to discern between real life and reality. And another thing I thought was interesting, and this is talked about in the chapter on beauty and plastic surgery, is that not only have statistics across the board increased for the amount of plastic surgery procedures that have been done, we've also seen how the nature of plastic surgery, how it's changed in recent years because of social media. So in years past, when someone wanted to get a cosmetic plastic surgery, say something on their face or something, what they would do, they'd blow up print up a picture of their favorite celebrity, and say, "Hey doc, thinking about getting some work done. I want to look more like Robert Redford or Megan Fox," and then that would be like their template. Now in recent years, because everybody is using like all the filters on social media, the filters with the smoothed out skin, the sunken in cheekbones, and then the big eyes. What people are doing, specifically women, they're printing out pictures of these heavily altered selfies, and they're bringing these into the plastic surgeons and saying, "Hey, I want to look like this." It's a phenomenon. It's developed over the past couple of years.
I see.
Yeah, it's actually
Like looking unrealistic, basically. Like no human should actually look like that.
Yeah, no, and it is a real thing. The term is called Snapchat dysmorphia. A couple of plastic surgeons in Manhattan, they were the ones to coin that term.
Interesting.
So like this book, it's chock full of just truth bomb after truth bomb, just all these things that, a lot of people probably didn't know about social media. I mean, you got to think about it. We're on our, the average person, we're on our phones all the time, specifically on social media. So to think that, it doesn't have an impact on the individual, which in turn has an impact on the mass populace of individuals. It's just crazy. It boggles my mind. No one's ever no one's ever written a book talking about all this stuff. And, I went ahead and did it.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. The phone addiction thing is a real thing. Like, I think what do they say is the explanation is like the dopamine high we get, right? Like when someone likes your picture or something like that, and then you just get like a dopamine hit after dopamine hit. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like me personally, like I just basically I made a conscious decision, maybe about a year ago or something, to just like have like a lot of parts of my day where I just put my phone down and I don't look at it. Because I used to be like always just checking my phone, and then I realized like this is a bad habit, because sometimes I'm interacting with like a friend in real life, and then like I'm just checking my phone. Like that shouldn't be the case. So I'm like, all right, if I'm like talking to a friend, if I'm on a date, doing activity, whatever, I'm just not checking my phone. And that's, a great decision. Like I personally recommend everyone do that. Like just like have that time that you're dedicating to real life should always 100% take precedence over any fucking virtual life, let's just say, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. That's the danger of what happens. So, we live in a time where theoretically anybody can become an influencer, someone who is relevant that people on the other side of the screen tune into and pay attention to day in and day out. What happened, one of the pitfalls of that is that when you take that role, that imagined role, too seriously, you start to live for the other side of the screen as an influencer. So what happened, you're seeing this happen now, and I've noticed some interesting things with this as well. You'll see not only at the influencer level, but at the just normal individual level, you start to do things and you start to try and live a lifestyle that really isn't within your means, but you have to, there's a term for it, doing it for the gram. You have to, getting the good pictures.
Yeah. I've heard about that.
Yeah. There was a study done in Great Britain. I forget, I might have been, the 18 to 30 demographic. They did a survey and they found out, when they asked people what was like their most important thing for deciding where to go on vacation, I think it was like 37% said it's Instagrammability. And
It's
that's
insane.
yeah, and that's what you're seeing now. And actually, I don't talk about this in the book. I think I edited this out, but I would like to write an article on this. One thing you've seen happen. So social media, it's really, I'd say a good time frame to really cut it off. I want to cut it off at like 2012, because that's when we saw, that's when Instagram really started to become mainstream. And since then, it's just skyrocketed off. And then we've also seen the rise of Snapchat. Well, in that time, what's happened, because everybody is sort of trying to compete and create the most appealing digital image possible, what we've seen happen is that these markers of, conformity, these markers of social relevancy that once used to mean something, they don't mean anything because that drive to consume has only gone up. So for instance, going to Las Vegas in like 2012, 2013, if you post that on Instagram, that used to mean something. You can kind of, for that time period, rise above. Oh wow, this guy went to, this person went to Vegas here. Vegas, it doesn't mean anything now. Nowadays, you want to kind of rise above. Now you got to kind of break the bank. You have to go to, you're seeing the vacations become more exotic. You have to go to Bali. You have to go to, what is it? Pig Beach in the Bahamas. So people, again, they're breaking the bank for the vacations. Another thing where place you've seen this happen. You've seen this have an impact on designer brands. So brands nowadays, brands that such as like a Michael Kors, Versace, Polo, things of that nature. These brands, they 6-7 years ago, these used to be included in that upper echelon of like designer brands. Now those are more like tier 2 brands, and now it's more so about the Gucci, the Balenciaga, the Givenchy, and brands like that. So people, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the price of joining the cool club, at least as it's displayed digitally, it's going up for the general public. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. I get it. Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating time. Like, dude, like you and I grew up like when we were like what, like 10, 11, like there was no social media, like there was no texting. Like if you wanted to talk to someone, like you called them on your home phone. Like that was how you got, or you just went to their house, right? Like that was like nice. A thing. That was a thing. You ride your bike to their house and you like knock on the door and be like, "Hey man, are you free to hang out?" Like, and their parents would be like, sorry, he's whatever, playing soccer. Yeah. And I think that I talk about this with my family, that like a lot of like people, like the generation who's going to come after us is not going to get to experience that, which is a shame.
No,
like
you know what's going away because of this? Just regular like photographs that you can hold in your hand. It's all digital now.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of going away too. Everything. When someone takes a picture, it's on the phone. It's posted on social media, and that's kind of replaced the photo albums when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's true for sure.
Yeah.
But I think my perspective is that for guys our age, like take like growing up sentimentalism aside, like for guys our age, social media can be like pretty much everything in life. It can be your friend or your enemy, right? So, it can be, and most of the time I think it's your enemy. You get obsessed with like, especially I see this with like younger girls. Their whole life is just obsessing over like how many likes their latest picture gets. They're just like, oh, this picture just got 100 likes. My last one got 130 likes. And that like crushes their day, like completely kills their state. And, you see this with the guys too. They're like obsessing with like Snapchat, like always having a cool Snapchat story. Dude, I'm like, I saw that. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking have Snapchat. Like, fuck that. Like that one, that's an app that just takes too much investment, too much time, and has no value. So I'm like, fuck it, not going to have Snapchat. I think that it is good for guys to have some social media because it's just so expected now. Like, you should have like an Instagram, just because like a lot of girls before going out with you, they want to see your Instagram because the assumption is if you don't have an Instagram that you're a serial killer. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, that's just become the reality. At least it's become the reality in in first world countries in America. Like, you go to like South America or like Eastern Europe, like it's not like that. But yeah, you see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that social media can be your friend or it can be your enemy. And yeah, you should never let it be your enemy. What are your thoughts on that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You made a lot of good points there. As far as it becoming your friend or your enemy, I tell guys this advice, in the book or just in general. Nothing, real life, nothing is going to replace like real life, because that's real life is, that's really your metric for happiness. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
There are people who have gigantic followings online, but they got nothing in real life and they're miserable. Real life connection, real life friends, real life family, real life relationships. Those are the things that are going to give you, fulfillment, overall, fulfillment. Now, as far as what you said regarding, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out here because I'm on a fast right now. What was the last point you made right there?
That you should make sure that it's your friend, that's not your enemy. Like, you don't get like addicted to it. You're not constantly checking your phone. You're not obsessing. Like, you don't let.
Yeah, a really good point that you made right there was, that you should have something. So you should have like an Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I talk about this, the different levels of the social media hierarchy. Yeah, I don't recommend, if you don't have social media, the term I use for that is ghost. I don't recommend guys going ghost and not having social media, especially if they're single and they're actively in the dating market and they're specifically trying to go after, the prime like 18 to 24-year-old, like socially relevant demographic. Like, if you're trying to go for that as a guy, yeah, you need that Instagram. Now, I think there's a lot of confusion as far as like what that Instagram should have, how many followers you should have, things like that. Again, it's all answered in the book. I would just tell guys, fundamentally, again, it relates back to real life. If you're living life to the fullest and you have a great network in real life, well, then the social media, for the most part, it's going to take care of itself, because, displaying your value as an individual, it's simply a matter of digitally documenting the journey along the way and, extending that aspect of yourself online. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Yeah, like if you're going for an 18-year-old, and vast majority of the time she'll be like, oh, cool, and then like right before you meet up, she's like, oh, cool, wait, can I see your Instagram? Yeah. So me personally, like, I made an Instagram like 2 years ago. I got some good high value pictures on there, but I don't obsess about it. Like, I just have it there, and then if a chick wants to see it, like, I'll show it to her. But I'm not like constantly trying to like one up myself on my Instagram. That's just like, like, I don't let my state be determined about how many likes a picture gets or any of that bullshit. But yeah, man. So kind of to wrap things up, can you give a little background on like how people can find your book and when, all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. The book, it is available on Amazon right now, both in paperback and Kindle. All you gotta do, there'll be a link below in the bio.
Yeah. We'll link that. We'll link that in the description as well.
Yeah. So yeah, the link in the description. All you gotta do, just click the link, get the book, give it a read, and just be prepared to learn a lot of stuff, and to make sense of, this social media dominated world that we live in. I truly believe that this book is one of the most important resources put together just for I truly believe that for the future of humanity, because again, it's addressing this big elephant in the room, social media, that no one's talking about. This thing that, like I said before, the average person is going to end up spending 5 years of their life on it and not even be aware of that. So something talking about that and its impact on that, both on the individual and societal level, I definitely think it's a worthy read, for sure.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I look forward to reading it myself. And thank you for coming on, bro. We're gonna do I'm gonna mention this for anyone watching this. We're gonna do a part 2 to this on Sonny's channel. Absolutely. And we'll link the channel below as well, where Sonny's gonna interview me and ask all the deep questions that you guys want to know about me.
Absolutely, brother. Looking forward to it.
All right, awesome, man. Thanks again for coming on. We'll talk
Thanks for
later.
having me on. Take care. Bye.
Take care.